thank you guys for being here and taking the time to meet again. As you know, I've met with all of you individually to gauge your interest in this group, the strengths team. In our first meeting, we went over our norms and reviewed some procedures and kind of our ultimate goal, which is to support and be an umbrella organization under our care team. And so what we kind of did was we asked the care team to go back and look at areas of need that they have and to see if we could help out with any of their students. Since this is our year of strengths, we thought it was appropriate to name ourselves a strength team. So as a care team, have you kind of done some research on the kids that have been referred to you?
So we have a number of students that are kind of flying under the radar because they're struggling in classes with grades, but they don't have any issues going on at home. And it would be really great if we could refer at least some of those students to target just because of their grades.
Do you have a number of overall students that have been referred to the care team throughout the year?
Probably about 4 or 5 with this issue.
Okay. So utilizing those strengths and being able to maybe find ways that we can intervene into these students and help them become a little more successful in the classroom?
So you asked me last meeting to look up some of the data on our Gallup student poll over the last 2 years, so I pulled that for you guys. The 2 issues that we're struggling in, I think we could really attack with this team particularly, and the first one is engagement. And so we're below the national average in engagement, and some of the questions they ask about engagement are things like, my teacher makes me feel like schoolwork is important. In the last 7 days, someone has told me I've done good work at school. In the last 7 days, I've learned something interesting at school. And so I'm making that connection between some of our students that are struggling with grades and the fact that engagement might be the main issue. Maybe we could use strengths to try to increase that. The other area we're struggling with, according to the data, is hope. Which sounds really bad when you say it, but I think that some of the issues are, for example, I have a mentor who encourages my development, so maybe we could talk about how to use mentoring with our strengths team. And the other one is I have many goals. We scored way below the national average on that. So I think we have the potential to take some of the work that the care team is doing and just focus on a particular number of students.
Now, is this data complete at this point with all of our students?
Yeah, so this data, as far as those results, is complete. The data where we identify student strengths, where they get their top 5, I have probably about 25 students that I still need to test. So I'll try to get that done in the next week so that we have everybody's data.
Now, at the beginning of the year, we had some training on Gallup and the positives behind it and the reasons why we're focusing on the strengths of each student, but we didn't get really deep into it, so I kind of asked you guys to review some resources as to how we can utilize Gallup and strengths and able to help students.
Well, I just love the whole thing that we've been doing with focusing on strengths. In the choir room, it's helped me not just understanding myself, but understanding my students. And a quote that I found when we were kind of looking through some stuff is, there is no more effective way to empower people than to see each person in terms of his or her strengths. And I just really like the idea of focusing on that positive side and not the negative side, and just really building the strengths. So I think it's great. I love it.
So the goal then would be, once we have the students, coming up with some sort of implementation plan to use in the classroom based on their individual strengths. Which would be difficult for teachers to implement, but we think that it would be overall very beneficial for those students that are struggling in the classroom.
Well, since we met last, you had asked me to kind of think about what I could do in the classroom, and I've already given it some thought and started. And the students that we've been already focusing in my room on their engagement and the problems, I've already seen an increase in grades. So immediately we get that feedback, their grades are improving because they're getting the engagement and the hope that they needed to have all along. So I think that teachers focusing on grades, even though that sounds like a little cliche, we've always focused on grades, but specifically for these kids that are struggling, this is an area that we can see immediately if this has been working.
And do you think that goes back to like where you say, I have a teacher at school that shows me that they care about me doing good work, like just in your classroom individually, we can really capitalize on that?
Absolutely.
So then basically what we're saying is that we're going to come up with an implementation plan, Once that plan is implemented, the data that will be used to track the student progress will be based on their grades, which is easy to track through our SIS program and something that you can pull
Yeah,
pretty simply.
definitely.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
High five.
5:05.
Sorry, seconds.
Pretty good.